Hello there, fellow Planeswalker. You have stumbled upon another episode of Spaventoso Speculates. This is episode 12. I have 26 red commander cards that you should be buying and playing. Why 26? Well, I had more, but I cut the list down. And I could make two videos, but I want to give you all the great information. So if you don't want to sit here for 20 or 30 minutes or whatever, how long it's going to be, skip to the end. I have a quick list. You can just pause it and take a look yourself. But card 1, Walduvian Rage. Target attacking creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. A couple years back, this card spiked to almost $6, but now it's back down to a reasonable price. If you can pick them up for 20 cents, that'd be looking good. Some of the commanders that utilize this card are on this list here. Bunch of mono red commanders. And next card, going to be moving along pretty quick here. Blood Sun enchantment. When Blood Sun enters, draw a card. All lands lose all abilities except mana abilities. Again, this card was pretty expensive when it first came out. It's under $1 now, about 50 cents average. The foil $2. I think you'd be a good deal if you can find some for around that price. It's used in 0.10% of the decks on EDH Rec, which is not a lot. I think more decks, especially red decks, should be using this. But maybe people are too afraid of shutting off their own lands. Here are some of the commanders that use it. Lots of mono red. And I even think maybe red and another color, maybe especially green, could be using this card too. It's gonna make a lot of people at your table angry, but they need to be learning to play more basics anyway, I feel like. Card number 3, Burnout. This is an old one from Alliances. It's a 1 in a red instant counter. Target instant spell if it's blue. Draw a card at the beginning of next turn's upkeep. Gotcha! Jaya Ballard, Task Mage. This card was $2 a couple years ago. It's starting to rise back up again. It is not used in very many decks. And if you start putting this in your red decks, the blue players will start having to worry about if you're keeping up 2 mana. Here's some of the decks that use it. Lots of mono red, some red black decks. Especially if you got a lot of blue in your pods, I think this card might be worth picking up a few copies. And card number 4, Change of Fortune. Sorcery. Discard your hand, then draw a card for each card you've discarded this turn. And this is used in 0.62% of decks. The foil version especially, 50 cents. I think that's a great deal to pick up a few copies. I don't think this is, bad even if you're not playing Madness. But especially if you are playing any sort of commander that you have to discard cards, or even just late game when you're holding on to a bunch of lands, I think this can come in handy. Card number 5, Cleansing Wildfire. Destroy target land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Draw a card. At 50 cents for a foil, I think this is a good pickup. And especially if a lot of people in your pod don't play a ton of basics, or they like to show off their really expensive game changer lands, this is a cheap budget way to remove them. Some of the commanders that are using this, especially Zozu, I think is a good commander for this, but again, any red commander I feel could throw this in there just to get rid of problematic lands, especially Glacial Chasm. Card 6, Conspiracy Theorists. 1 in a red human shaman. When it attacks, you may pay 1 and discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Whenever you discard 1 or more non-land cards, you may exile one of them from your graveyard. If you do, you may cast it this turn. It's a great way to kind of make use of some of the cards in your graveyard. It's not used in very many decks. Foil version, 60 cents. I think that's a steal for a rare. And some of the commanders that utilize it. Flubs the Fool. A lot of Flubs the Fool people using this. But yeah, any sort of red deck that might have any sort of discard adjacent commander might make good use of this. Card 7, Crash Through. 1 red for a sorcery. Creatures you control gain trample until end of turn. Draw a card. Add $1 for a foil. This one might not be worth it, but if you don't have any in your collection, you might want to pick up a couple for 20 cents, 15 cents. Maybe even a better deal than that at your local game store. And some of the commanders that are using it, especially this new commander we're going to see a lot on the list. I think it's a great budget card to have around, especially if you have a lot of bigger dudes in your deck. I think even with some green commanders, some green-red commanders, this might be a good card. Number 8, Crimson Wisps. Instant. Target creature becomes red and gains haste until end of turn. Draw a card. The becoming red portion might not be all that important, but if you want to give your commander haste, if that's really important to your strategy, or if you have some sort of combo that is creature-based that requires it to tap, you can maybe win on the spot if you happen to have this or a similar card in your hand. This card has been spiking a little bit. If you can find a copy for under $2, I think you're doing good. The foil one might be a little out of some people's range. Here's the commanders that are utilizing it the most. And yeah, it's a lot of things where you want your commander to be active the turn it hits play. That's where this card would really shine. There's another version of it printed more recently. And this might be the one that you want to be targeting. If you can maybe grab it for $1.50, I think you're doing good. Card 9, Decaying Time Loop. Instant. Discard all the cards in your hand, then draw that many cards. And retrace. It's going to be better later in the game when you have a lot of junk in your hand you might not be using. It can be used twice, which is good too. The foil's about $5. I wouldn't be targeting that, but if you could pick up some copies of this for 20, 25 cents, I think it'd be great to have in your collection. Just to wait until a commander comes along that might make great use out of this one. But here are some of the commanders that are using it. And this Green Goblin Nemesis one especially. I think it's rising to the top. It might drive this price up a little bit. And then if you are making a Doctor Who themed deck, this will fit right in. Number 10, Demand Answers. 1 in a red instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or discard a card, draw 2 cards. As an instant, this can target something. Maybe your opponent's trying to target one of your artifacts. Maybe you got a treasure token lying around or an extra land in your hand. This will get you 2 cards. And this one, especially the foil, under 50 cents for a foil. I think I'd be trying to pick up a lot of these since it's used in almost 5.5% of decks on EDH Rec. These are the commanders that are making the most use out of it. Pretty wide range of colors. And if you don't have any, pick some of these up. And if you do have some, I'd grab some more before that foil price gets too high. Card 11, Dragon Mantle. It's an enchantment aura. Enchant creature when Dragon Mantle enters. Draw a card. Enchanted creature has 1 red. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn, so it's a fire-breathing effect that immediately replaces itself. Now this is going to put a target on one of your creatures, but at 50 cents, it's still a budget card. Late in the game, you can really pump a lot of mana into this and deal quite a bit of damage if you can get them through. These are the commanders that are making use out of this. A lot of aggressive commanders. some red-green, red-white. I think these are a lot of great options. Anything that gives your guy trample is just icing on the cake at that point. Card 12, Expedite, 1 red. Target creature gains haste until end of turn. Draw a card. Similar card to one we saw earlier, used in 2.78% of decks. The foil might be a little expensive, but if you can pick up the regular versions for around a quarter, I think you'd be doing good. Here are the commanders that utilize it. And on to card 13. Fists of Flame, 1 in a red instant to draw a card until end of turn. Target creature gains trample and gets +1/+0 for each card you've drawn this turn. So that could be at least 2, maybe more, if you play some of the other cards that have been on this list. Foil version is still reasonably priced at under $2. But for a 20-cent common, I think you'd be doing good to pick some of these up if you don't have any. Some of the commanders, again, that utilize this card. Any commander that helps you draw cards, maybe even duplicates the spell, I would get a lot of use out of that. Card 14, Highway Robbery, 1 in red. You may discard a card or sacrifice a land. If you do, draw 2 cards. Plot, 1 in a red. For a 30-cent foil, I think I'd be trying to target some of these. And sacrificing a land, especially late game, or discarding a card. Probably an extra land isn't too big of a price to pay for 2 cards. EDH Rec lists these commanders as the ones that utilize it the most. Obviously, if you're doing a Thunder Junction kind of theme, you're going to want to run this card, but even this card, Magar, the Magic Strings, is making some use out of it. On to card 15, Magmatic Insight. When red for a sorcery, as an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a land card. Draw 2 cards. It's not going to be too difficult to hold a land late in the game when you already have 8 or 10 in play. Now, this foil one isn't this version. I don't think this version has a foil. But if you can pick these up for under 20 cents, 25 cents for a regular version, that might be the way to go. Here's some of the commanders utilizing it. Urabrask, Bergi, and Krenko. Card number 16, Magus of the Wheel. I think everybody's seen this card, and they might remember it being around this $10 price point, but it's been reprinted into the ground, so now's the time to pick it up. 3.41% of decks play this. It's kind of a poor man's wheel these days. Sacrifice it. Each player discards their hand, then draws 7 cards. How fun. At instant speed, in fact. So if you notice maybe the blue player starting to set up their combo, or someone might be winning next turn, or you need to dig for some answers, it's going to be time to pop the Magus and pray. Here are some of the reprints, and you'll see the price is under $1 in most cases. Some of the commanders that utilize it here as well. Lots of decks taking advantage of this. And card 17, Overmaster. The next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn can't be countered. Draw a card. Used in just over 1% of decks. It's going to be if you want to play a board wipe and you don't want that to get countered, or you're investing a lot of mana into a very important spell that you want to make sure doesn't get countered. Cast the Overmaster first, draw your card, and then cast your instant or sorcery. I think more decks should be utilizing this, especially if you're playing red. Here are some of the commanders that use it. Crack the Thumbless, Urabrask again. Anything that's got some really impactful instant or sorceries that you want to make sure get through, you're going to be wanting to run a copy of that card. Card 18, Panic. 1 red instant. Play only during combat before blockers are declared. Target creature cannot be assigned to block this turn. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn. Now, I'm not sure that's the current Oracle text, but at 20 cents, you might want to be picking up some of these. This art isn't the greatest. I think there is another copy as well. Here are some of the commanders that use it. And card 19, Renegade Tactics. 1 red, target creature can't block this turn. Draw a card. 1.18% of decks utilize this. Under $1 for the foil. Might be worth picking up. Especially early in the game. Somebody's just leaving back 1 blocker. They think they're safe. You can make sure that your squad gets through with a Renegade Tactics. Some of the commanders that are using this. Now on to card number 20. Reroute. 1 in a red. Change the target of target activated ability with a single target. Draw a card. This was back in Ravnica. Foil, $3. Might be a little bit more expensive for a cleaner copy, but some played ones you might be able to pick up for $3. But 25 cents, 30 cents for a little bit of trickery in red. I don't think you can go wrong having a couple of these in your collection. Some of the commanders that make use of this: Bergie, Magda, Urbrask, Krenko. Players are all running at least one of these. 21. Shattered Perception, 2 in a red. Discard all the cards in your hand, then draw that many cards. Flashback, 5 in a red. Foil, $1. I'm not sure. This card has been not reprinted, so that foil price might go up if somebody scoops up a bunch of these. 25 cents, about the average. And being able to use this twice is pretty nice, especially if you've been saving up cards in your hand. Maybe you don't have a hand limit and you've got 8, 10, 12 cards in your hand. This can really help you dig through your deck to find the good cards that you need to win. Green Goblin. Few players are trying this one out, which might make the cost of that foil go up especially. On to card number 22. Telem Tor's Edict. 1 red. Instant. Remove from the game target permanent you own or control. Draw a card at the beginning of next turn's upkeep. This could be good for a little trickery, or if you know maybe one of your opponents is targeting something you own, or you know a creature's going to die in combat. It's not going to be a big deal. Blim, Comedic Genius, is using this. This seems like the kind of card that's just waiting around for another kind of commander or combo to really break it. 23. Vengeful Possession. 2 in a red. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it. It gains haste until end of turn. You may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So you basically get to borrow one of your opponent's creatures for a turn. Maybe they paid a lot of mana to get a commander into play, or a lot of effort to get a big beefy dude down. You can just grab it and attack them or attack someone else with it. Or even if you have a sack outlet, maybe sacrifice it. And here are the commanders that are using it. Pretty big range. All sorts of colors. All sorts of different commanders kind of making use of this guy. Card 24, Vindictive Flamestoker. 1 red for a Phyrexian Wizard. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on Vindictive Flamestoker. 6 in a red. Sack Vindictive Flamestoker. Discard your hand and draw 4 cards. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each oil counter on Vindictive Flamestoker. 34 cents for a foil. Isn't too bad. I scooped up some of these and tried to make use of it in a couple of different legacy decks. It was okay, but I think in Commander, especially playing red, you might be throwing around a lot of non-creature spells, especially if you added some of the others on this list. So you could pretty quickly and cheaply get maybe just a 2 mana investment for 4 cards. Refill your hand. Some of the commanders making use of this. I think some of the Phyrexian commanders too, maybe if you're trying to make a theme deck, might use this. On to card 25, almost there at the end, folks. Thanks for sticking with me. 1 red, Warlord's Fury. Creatures you control gain first strike until end of turn. Draw a card. This one it's a sorcery, so you're not really gonna gotcha anyone, but if you kind of plan around, make sure you're attacking the right player, you might make the most use out of this. At $1.12 for a foil, it's pretty good, I think, especially from a card for 2018. It's kind of getting up there in age. It might go up a little bit more, but 25 cents a piece. I think it might be good to have some around for your budget decks and throw them in there, especially if it's something super aggressive. Some of the commanders using this are on this list. Especially, I think, super aggressive decks are going to want to run something like this. And our last card, Wild Wasteland, card number 26. 2 in red, enchantment, skip your draw step. That's not great. But at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. That's 2 chances to hit your land drop every turn. If you don't have too many cards in your deck that cost too much, if you got just a lot of low cost kind of things, maybe low cost things that also cantrip, this would be a good card to have in your red deck. Market value, 41 cents average, about 60 cents. The foil is a little pricey, but I think having a couple of these in your collection and maybe waiting until the right commander comes along, because you don't know when they're going to reprint the cards from these Universes Beyond sets. Some of the commanders that are utilizing this, the Caesar, Legions, Emperor, Flubs the Fool, Prosper Tomebound. And that is my list of red commander cards you should be buying and playing. Thanks for watching. Check the playlist for more price watch videos. I think the only ones I have to do are green, multicolored, and artifact for commander for right now. I've done blue, black, white, and now red. So here is the cheat sheet that I promised at the end. So just pause it here if you didn't watch the whole video or if you want to jot them all down. Thanks for watching.